Good evening and welcome very, very much to Conversations, where I am pleased to welcome to the program John Duillo. He's a painter and has painted this incredible portrait of Christopher Columbus that we're going to talk about at great length as we get into the show. But he's an artist, works in oil a good deal, and is a historical artist. And John, welcome very, very much to Conversation.
Thank you.
You're a painter, a very, very good painter, and you've been studying art. You've been doing this. I asked you just before we started. Maybe you could give a little of your own background, as we could, because we want to talk about this unique field. I said, how did you come to become a painter of historical reference? Referencing historical scenes, and you said they don't ever ask that of still life people.
That's true.
It's a unique field. But maybe you could give us a little of your own background, and particularly bringing us into how you got into art, and particularly how you got into this field of painting historical scenes.
Well, everybody slips and slides into what they do, literally. Yeah. But going into history, here again, it's very hard to tell where the passion comes from. Uh-huh. I mean, if you like reading historical books, that's one thing, you know. But after all, when I do an historical painting, I try to reconstruct it, because many times in history there are simply no pictures of the period.
Yeah.
And so through the reading, and I get a vision, I try to actually reconstruct it, get a feeling for it, and then that's what creates a lot of interest for me.
Yeah. You had studied art, and you'd done art. I'd said just before we started, you started maybe 15, 20 years ago, 15 years ago or so, you started doing the historical. Yeah. But you had studied and done art
before that, sure.
Before that, in a more traditional vein?
I was an illustrator then.
Oh, I see, right, okay,
So I went into gallery work, and that's another world, actually.
Yeah, obviously we have it here. But you were approached to put together a historical idea of what Christopher Columbus looked like, and in view of the fact that we're coming into the 500th anniversary of his sailing across from Europe to this new world, there's a quincentennial commission and so forth. Maybe you could talk a little bit about
my approach.
Yeah, no, about how you came. Yeah, and who was it that approached you? How did it come to be that you painted this, what is now becoming to be understood by many as a quasi-official portrait, as it were, of this man, Christopher Columbus, who had such an effect on world history? You were approached by some as a historical
like
painter.
Columbus, this person who approached me, his name was Leon Joseph, and he had a vision. He was just like Columbus did.
Right.
And so he needed someone to execute that vision, and he called. I imagine he must have made inquiries around, but when he finally got in touch with me, we talked and we talked. And then we talked some more, and we finally, in a sense, got to trust each other.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I think that's important too.
Yeah, sure.
Because it was it's something I didn't want to launch any particular effort on this thing unless I felt he himself was totally committed to it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the historical artists do more sitting in front of books than they do in front of easels.
Yeah, I was trying to get at that idea that you had this long track record and reputation as being one of the preeminent historical artists of our country.
You can't start me on a painting just by making a phone call.
Right,
I can't be jump-started so easily. Okay.
Yeah, right. And so he approached you and he said, "Look, we're coming up to this 500th anniversary, and as I understand it, now I want to get some of that. We never had, or there was never an official. There may have been, but there was never an officially recognized portrait of the man, of Christopher Columbus, in his own lifetime that we can identify."
He didn't actually put it that way. You know, what he actually, his words basically were, "Hey, you're perfect. You're the President of the Society of American Historical Artists. You're Italian," and that was part of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Columbus was from Genoa originally.
Right, I've had several articles written up on my work, and so that was basically it. But I don't think he really knew what my Columbus was going to look like. I don't think that Leon felt that I was going to come up with something really that new about Columbus, but in fact I did.
Yeah.
The more I read.
Okay.
But actually, when I saw all the other portraits done of Columbus, and there are so many of them, you always felt it was wrong.